This podcast is proud to be part of the Talksport Fan Network.
Talksport. Powered by fans.
Right, we go into 2025. Wow, a year has flown by. And we're going into the game against fellow promotion pushers in Stockport County. Seems strange to be recording yet another away end in association with AMG Logistics today, but we're that close. Why not? So the game on New Year's Day will be the second time within the space of 30 days that the clubs have met. And I'm joined today by Daniel, who's going to talk us through what we believe will be a slightly different Stockport team on the day, but no doubt as hard to play against. So we come off the back of the weekend with Birmingham and a 0-0. Very dull, boring, and fair to say, slow game against Blackpool, who set themselves up really well. Steve Bruce set the team up to nullify Birmingham. He did that. Unfortunately, we also couldn't break him down. And Stockport off the back of a 1-1 result at Rotherham. So both at draws, but both decent over the festive period. Last time we met, obviously a 2-0 win for Birmingham at St Andrews at Edgley Park. Hopefully we will go on to replicate that on New Year's Day and start 2025 with a bang. So, Daniel, first of all, thank you very much for joining us and talking about the upcoming game. Firstly, Happy New Year to yourself and all of your fellow Stockport fans. Here's to a great 2025 for both clubs, apart from tomorrow when hopefully you'll have the worst game of the season. Tell us, first of all, what to expect, because I think there are going to be some differences between the team that we saw at St Andrews at Edgley Park at the beginning of December in comparison to those that we will see on New Year's Day.
I think the first thing Birmingham fans should expect is make sure you've got a hood on your coat, because we've given you the open end, the railway end, which has been mainly for home fans this season, but to give you extra tickets, we've given that end to the Birmingham fans, and it's an open end. So if it's raining, make sure you got your coat because you will get wet. It's a very inconsistent sort of season at the moment. We look like world beaters, Stevenage game. We sort of summed it up. The first 20 minutes we looked like Barcelona, and then the rest of the half we looked like the dog and duck. And it's very much like that at times. When we play football, we look good. We just lack that goal scorer to finish off all the chances that we create. And, at the moment, it takes us 10 chances to score one goal. And at this sort of level, as you go up the levels, that's just not sort of really good enough to be at that top end of the table.
And what can we expect? So I think, new year, new start, as some people like to call it. But I think it's a little bit different for yourselves with the injuries, but also outgoing players that you've got leaving the club this time. So are we expecting a totally different Stockport side and structure? Are they going to be stronger? Are they going to be weaker? What are we to expect?
It's good. I expect a different team. We on against Rotherham, Fraser Horsfall looked like he did some ligament damage in his ankle, so he might look like he'd be out for the season. We've got a lad called Hughes that we got from Burton and played 200 games at this level, at League One level. So he's more than a capable replacement for Fraser Horsfall, but it is a big miss. Obviously, the lad that all you guys love in Louis Barry, it is his last game before he returns back to the Midlands, but he came off against Rotherham with an injury, so there is doubt. It's a bit 50-50 if he actually will play at all. Tanto Alafi also picked up an injury, so he'll be missing as well from that game. Lewis Bates, who's probably been our outstanding player, picked up an injury against the Rotherham game on Boxing Day, so he's been told that he'd be out for a month, but there is also strong links with him with joining up with Coventry City and Frank Lampard.
Yep.
Even though we only signed him in the summer, he's been that good that I think he could easily make up the step up to Championship without any hassles. So yeah, there's a lot of players out there that are injured at the moment, so it will be a different look side. Obviously there'll be no players coming in into that new signings coming into that team for the game against Birmingham on New Year's Day. We have signed a wonder kid as they've been described from Iceland, but what he can do in the Iceland League and what he can do in League One could be a million miles apart. So there's no expectation on him to set the world alight by any means. And obviously, the Icelandic League, I think, finished in October, so he hasn't kicked a football really for a couple of months. So, like I say, we don't expect anything off him for the rest of the season until he's got a proper pre-season with us under his belt.
You
But
do
yeah,
think that some youngsters, though, that are within those leagues that can be standout players. Excuse me, when I think about some of the players that joined Birmingham in the summer that we'd never heard of, and they have been able to take that step up. And I think it's never worth saying that the players are not going to turn up and be and set the world alight, for example. But actually, you may have that little gem, and it's interesting because what we had 3 games in 6 days across all of the leagues. I think there was an extra couple of days for yourselves initially because Birmingham played on the Monday instead of the Saturday. So we've also had a run of injuries, particularly nasty injury to Lee Buchanan at the weekend, and from all of us at Tilton Talk and all of our followers and listeners, Lee, get well soon. Because I think it was particularly nasty. I don't think we'll see him again this season. I'd be very, very, very surprised. But hey, hopefully, get on the mend very, very quickly. And then Clara took a knock, which is at the heart of our defence. At times people will say, no, it doesn't make too much of a difference. We've got Davies coming in. But actually, it's always swap and change, which is never good when it comes to a defensive positions. And then we also lost our winger as well to injury. It was one of those games on Sunday. It was as though they were just dropping like flies. So hopefully they will be back, and they'll be back pretty quick.
yeah, I mean, with us, we'll play the same formation. We'll play 3 at the back. It'll be 4 across midfield and 3 up front. And there's still enough quality in the team, even though we'll be missing a lot of good players. But we still Ollie Norwood, I'd expect to start. We'll start with Carl Wotton up front, who is more than a handful for at this level. So yeah, we'll carry on. We'll do the things that we normally do. The way he likes to play football with like the intensity and front foot and trying to pass it through the lines. And just hopefully somebody's got their shooting boots on, really.
And I think this is the thing for ourselves. We've got goal scorers. We've got some, great players in. Obviously, Jay Stansfield. How can you can't write him out? Then on top of that, you've got Alfie May. Both of them brilliant goal scorers. The set-up play at times has been phenomenal, but then there are others where it's actually been a bit slow, lethargic. So I think it depends on how we set up. We could well be without 5, if not 6, of what I would class as our first team players come New Year's Day. I mean, I've mentioned Clara already. I've mentioned obviously the injury to Buchanan, but Keshi Anderson has been a miss. He took a knock on Boxing Day, so we are possibly without him as well. So our wing play disappears. We've got to try and balance that team out. When I look at some of the players that are out, Hansen, muscular, he's on the wing. Christoph Clara, we don't know. Just a little bit of a niggle, hopefully, and was a preventative coming off the pitch on Sunday. Keshi Anderson, same again, hopefully just a bit of a knock. Scott Wright out on the wing, injured. Alphonse Sumstead, he has been out with an ankle injury since early in the season. So all of these players for us bring added strength to the areas that we expect to see. So I think for both teams, we're looking at there being a different team, different structure. Hopefully a good game. You mentioned the fans. I mean, we're going to have another sellout from Birmingham fans' perspective. Coming up to yourselves, first time in a while that we've played at your place as well. So it should be a good day, a raucous atmosphere, and I think guest of the day. We know as Birmingham fans as a total Birmingham legend, a true gentle giant, and a true gentleman who we have had on Tilton Talk to speak to us about his time at the club. And obviously a Stockport County legend as well in Kevin Francis. I mean, what a return for him to have on New Year's Day. I remember him fondly, as a gangly striker who he could strike a ball. He's the sort of player that today people would look at and go, oh, God, look at the size of him. He's only going to head a ball. No, he could strike a ball, and he could strike a ball cleanly. He'll win. He gets himself into positions. He was the big, stocky, bulky player that everybody wanted to see, and he was the bulldozer at times that, didn't necessarily need him to go and score the goals. He was setting them up. What do you remember about him from Stockport? Because obviously that was where he made, for me, his name, and then he came to Birmingham from yourselves.
Well, I was there for his debut. He came on his debut against Lincoln City away at Lincoln City. Then many moons ago, and he made his debut actually with another player that people will know is Jason Lee. He made his debut with Jason Lee against Lincoln away, and like I say, the moment you saw him, obviously you notice he's tall, and you think, oh, he's just going to head the ball. But like you say, over 100 goals for County at left foot, right foot, overhead kicks, obviously headers. And as Daphne says, he weren't the greatest jumper for the ball. He probably relied on his height a little bit too much to win the ball, but he would put his head where it hurt. He would get in, he would battle, and same again, really tall bloke in that era of the 90s where shorts were shorts on footballers.
Yeah.
And when he got to them legs going, he could run as well. He could absolutely run the length of the pitch really, really quick. So, he'd win the ball. The amount of times I'd see him win the ball on the halfway line, and he would just start striding towards the goal, and 18 yards out, just crack it and it go into the top corner. So yeah, I mean, he probably, I would say, most county fans, he would be their favourite player of all time. An absolute legend, and same again, probably first time I was heartbroken when we sold the player, when he obviously left to go to Birmingham for 800 grand, which we still think Barry Fry robbed us all. But
Barry
it
Fry
was,
robbed everybody.
yeah, but it was one of them ones. It was Birmingham. If it was any other club, I think we would have held out for twice the much money. But because it was Birmingham, and because it was, Big Kev was a blues nose through and through,
Yeah.
that we couldn't deny him that move. So yeah, no, he's all time great at County, and like you say, he'd be on the pitch at half time, and I'm sure that he definitely, all the County fans will give him a warm welcome as they always do, and like I say, no doubt the Birmingham fans will be also singing his name as well.
Yeah, I mean, when he came to Birmingham, like you say, under the Barry Fry days, they were the times that Barry was just signing players for fun. I mean, I remember when I spoke with Kevin, that one of the things that he said was one day you'd turn up in the dressing room, the next day you'd turn up and think, who's that now? And they've got another raft of players. But I mean, when you look at his record, obviously for County, 152 appearances and 88 goals so far, from that. gangly, non-goal scoring type of player when you've got that sort of record. He came to Birmingham in 1995, stayed with us until 98, made 73 appearances. He actually only scored, though, 13 goals. So his goal scoring record at Birmingham wasn't as great. However, the one thing that he was a complete nuisance. And he was part of those teams that helped us get results and scrape results that we needed at that particular time. And of course, you know, he was part of the promotion winning side. He was part of the whole ethos of the club and the rebuild and restructure that was taking place at the time. And still to this day, you know, he'll never deny it, but he's still got the Birmingham City badge around his neck, in gold.
You don't have to deny it. No, well, like I say, they had an event at the club at County only last week before Christmas in the function rooms, and the posters advertising that you will see him wearing his Birmingham necklace around his neck. So all the promotional stuff that the county put out to sell tickets for the event, you will notice on that poster, if you can find any still on the internet, that he's got his Birmingham necklace wearing in that. So yeah, no, like I say, we all knew that he was a total. You know, we got him from Derby County, and I think before that he played obviously in the sort of like in the Birmingham leagues and stuff like that. And I've seen schoolboy pictures of, you know, Kevin Francis is like as an under 12, and he, you know, all these little kids that are little smaller than, you know, you're missing the top of Kevin's head on the photo because he's absolutely gigantic. But no, like I say, he's one of a kind. And like I say, I always go back to what would Kevin Francis be worth today in today's football with the goals he scored and his attributes? Because like you say, he had everything. You know, he was better than Peter Crouch for me, just as good as Didier Drogba in that sort of how strong and forceful and willing to put his head and body on the line to get the goal. He never pulled back from trying to score a goal. And what would you pay for that sort of player nowadays?
And I think the other thing is the fact, I mean, I was chatting with some fans at the game against Blackpool before kick-off, and there was a gent who told us a story about going into the club shop before one of the games and seeing a match-worn Kevin Francis shirt. And he thought, do you know what? Guy's a legend. I've watched him. He was one of the first players that I followed at the club. So he bought that shirt. And he was like, do you know, I got it outside. And I thought, I'm going to try this on. He said, he's grown guy of 6'2", and all of a sudden it's making this top making him look like he's wearing a dress because of the size of what he was like. And they all had just those fond memories of him, which is great. And like I say, legend at heart. So I will reach out before he returns home. I'll be interested to know come tomorrow where his head is. You know, is he sitting on the fence and just going to go, I'll go for a draw? So at half time, we'll get to find out what he actually thinks. So we're going into New Year's Day with the game. Like you say, first of all, we've got an open end, and I've had a look at the weather, and it's not looking pleasant. So I feel for those Birmingham fans that are travelling up, and you know, we've already mentioned another sellout in terms of away fans. So it'll be a raucous atmosphere again.
And home end is sold out as well. I think the game's been sold out last 10 days, nearly 2 weeks. So yeah, it's a complete sellout. No tickets available at all. Plenty of home fans trying to beg for tickets, never mind Birmingham fans trying to get extra tickets. So yeah, the only, like I say, make sure you got a hood on your coat. Might be a day to pull out the big coat. And make sure if you want, obviously, a pie, make sure you get one early because they do sell out quick.
And I know it's New Year's Day, so a lot of fans are probably going to be hungover going into the game anyhow. But if they do want to have a drink, is there any recommendations of where the fans should go?
It, I mean, the Armory's, which is very close to the ground, is a good pub. They don't normally let you have, if you've got colours on, they won't let you in. But the Armory's a good shout. There is an away pub, designated away pub that's not a million miles away, that they will direct you on, which is on the main A6, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. But it's not, it's only a few minutes walk from the ground. They will direct you. Same again, we have our own little fan zone
Yep.
that's behind the main Cheadle end, the big stand. They don't normally allow away colours in, but if you do get in there, then they may still be offering the Christmas dinner in the cup, which is a seasonal thing, obviously, which goes down well if you'd like a cup full of mashed potato and Brussels sprouts and pigs in blanket topped with gravy. So yeah, there's a few bits. Obviously, you can get a pint behind the stands normally. So yeah, it's not a bad one.
Been to worse, I think is what you want to say, isn't it? So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I say normally we the away allocation has been sort of like the two blocks under the covered stand because obviously EFL rules state that we have to give 200 seats. So the railway end, which is an open stand, has been given to home fans, but I think for the demand we've given the EFL have given us permission not to give any covered seats to Birmingham, and we've given you extra seats all in the uncovered. The only saving grace you may have is that obviously behind you will be the largest scoreboard that you will ever see in your life. I think it's probably the largest one in League One, if not the EFL. And you will all get a good sunburn at the back of your head and on the back of your neck from that because it does radiate some heat.
So we're going to go. Basically, what you're saying is we're going to get wet, but we're going to stay warm, and that's got to be a bonus.
Yeah, it is. And at least the same again, you get to do a bit of airplane spotting. As if your fans have not obviously been for a long time or never been to Edgley Park, it is in the flight path for Manchester Airport. So expect a plane to sort of go past every sort of 15, 20 minutes. Apart from that, pitch is probably one of the best pitches that you will get in League One, if not the EFL. Last year, the grounds team won awards for their pitch.
Cool.
It's had a little bit of facelift from the last time. Obviously, Birmingham came along. It's still the same ground, but obviously it's had a lick of paint, and the money that obviously we've had investment over the last since 2020 with the owner Mark Stott, and even though we've not really spent millions on players, the investment has been a lot of it has been off the field.
Hmm.
We as soon as he came in, we were training at like local schools and stuff like that. As soon as he came in, he took over the lease of Carrington from Man City. So that is our training base since 2020 is Carrington, which Man City had. Obviously, the whole ground's had a refurbish of what we got. There is plans to start redevelopment of that railway end and other stands starting in 2025. All the function rooms and banqueting suites have all been refurbished. The club shop's been refurbished. The fan zone's been set up. So there's been a lot of investment in the club. Probably, I think, 17, 18 million pounds has been spent by the owner since 2020. And even though you might not, we haven't spent millions on the pitch. We've been sort of very astute with free signings and stuff
It's
like that.
about building the club as well from the inside out. You know, at the end of the day, what your owner has done is exactly what Birmingham's have done as well, which is invest in areas that are going to bring additional revenue. It's about making sure that everything is structured and set up as we expect, and then you bring in the extra money, you can spend the extra money, so it balances itself out.
Yeah.
So as
I
we
mean,
go,
we still got, if you look at the team, there's still four players in that team that played in the National League.
yeah,
We've even won Ben Hinchliffe that was in the National League North with us 10 for the last 10 years. And like I say, he started the club as a part-time lorry driver, part-time footballer, that couldn't play night games because he'd be out working on his lorry. So, that's, how far we have come. But them players that, Ben Hinchliffe will be in goal. You'll have Ryan Rydell, Macaulay Southam Hales that play left and right wing backs. Will Collar that gets a lot of attention from Championship clubs every season. All them played in the National League for us. So, there has been a massive journey by the club since the heavy days when, like you say, Kevin Francis and we played you last, where, the depths of dropping down to Colwyn Bay and Gainsborough Trinity and Bradford Park Avenue. And yeah,
Well,
it's been a
you've built back, which is the main thing. So we're going to the game then. So toughy, but what does your heart say and what does your head say the result will be?
Ah, I mean, obviously it's a tough game. The expectation, and rightly so, will be a Birmingham win. The bookies, it'll be a Birmingham win according to the bookmakers. But at home, I fancy us against anybody at home, to
Yep.
be honest. Um, I really, really do. And we've seen it before this season. We can go out and beat Bolton 5-0. We can go and beat Wrexham 1-0. I think at home we're a game for anybody. Um, so yeah, heart says, we'll nick it 2-1, 1-0. We'll nick it. Head says it's more likely to be a 1-1 or a 0-0 after just so many games in such a short period of time. And it probably, I reckon it'll just be a one goal decides it really. So I think it's going to be a bit of a closer affair. I think we won't give the silly mistakes that we did 3 weeks ago to sort of like concede sort of two goals very sort of early in the first half. And I think fans that went to that game and watched that game sort of saw two sort of sides of us from the first half to the second half.
Indeed, yes.
So I expect us to sort of like start on New Year's Day the way that we started the second half 3 weeks ago.
I think it's going to be. I mean, firstly, I think the weather is going to have a factor in the game. We always seem to cop the bad weather whenever we're playing, and wasn't the best when we played at St Andrews at Edgley Park. So this time around, again, gusty winds, heavy rain from what we're seeing is going to have a huge factor, I believe, on the game. Also, the fact that we've had so many games in such a short space of time across the festive period, which I know you've got squad rotation and everything else, but that is tough no matter who you are. So I'm going to go with a hard fought. I think it'll be a 1-1. I really do. I think we'll come away with a draw. It'll be very hard fought. However, I'd love nothing more than to scrape that, dirty, horrible 1-0 results. People hate and detest, but actually it doesn't matter because it's getting you 3 points over the line. So Daniel, thank you very much, first of all, for joining me to record this and to go through the upcoming game. Here's to a great game on New Year's Day. And as I've mentioned, I'll say it again, but a great 2025 and prosperous one for yourself, all of the fans at Stockport County, apart from New Year's Day, when, of course, I want Birmingham to prosper at your place. But enjoy the rest of the season. And thank you very much indeed for joining us on the away end in association with AMG Logistics. So
No
keep it up.
worries. Thanks a lot.